So Micky Mellon, welcome to the podcast. I want to begin by starting at the very early stages of your footballing journey. How did football become a passion for you in your early days?
First of all, good evening. Very, very early. I mean, generally every young Glaswegian boy from ever when I can remember either plays football and wants to be a footballer. And that's all we would ever do from ever since I can remember. And gradually, as you get older, people start to maybe notice that you have a bit of talent or whatever, and you get into some teams and school teams and things like that, and away you go. And gradually that's how it grew. So it grew very much from a council estate in Glasgow, way back from I can remember kicking about with my friends.
And how did that correlate to your professional career, those experiences kind of growing up and obviously you becoming a manager? Is there anything that stands out in terms of that upbringing that has maybe shaped you within your leadership approach?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I think very, very early, if I think back in life, I think as a young Glaswegian, you learn something called being streetwise very, very early, and you learn who to talk to in which way and how to see threat. And I mean, listen, it's a lot of great things about Glasgow as well, but obviously you had to grow up very quickly, and you had to learn what battles to get involved in and what not to. And so from a very, very early age, we Glaswegians understand relationships, and which is massive in leadership, massive in life, really. The art of conversation and all the kind of qualities that you need to either talk yourself out or talk yourself into trouble. But no, from a very early age, that was pretty much what happened in Glasgow. And yeah, absolutely big learning curve in my younger days, and still very much now. All the lessons that I learned back then still very much with me now.
Was there anyone that stands out in terms of those experiences? Obviously, you growing up in the west of Scotland and then having opportunities to potentially play. Was there anyone that stands out in terms of being a mentor for you that has inspired you to have a career within management now?
Yeah, there's many people who have definitely influenced me from ever I can remember, on ways that have made me the person that I'm today, from your parents and to people who, your friends and all the kind of things. In football, or the managers that took time to run teams for free, which was really important. And I always really respect guys now who run kids' football teams, because it wasn't for them where would we play. So we were very fortunate that we had school teachers and guys that run were little club teams that enabled us to get the opportunity to play football. And then when I got to the age of 16, 17, I got the opportunity to, well, from some sort of 13, 14, I had opportunities to sign for a lot of football clubs. And I decided to sign for Hearts as a young 14-year-old, on what was called an S-form back then. But when we got to sort of 16, 17, there was no youth policy in Scotland then. There was no under-18s football playing for, like you get now, where Celtic under-18s would play Dundee United under-18s or whatever in the league. That wasn't happening back then. So the opportunity came for me to go to England. I think I just turned 16, 17 to go to England, and yeah, that was the end of my life in Scotland.
How was that for you? Because obviously you said at the start that you were very streetwise growing up in Scotland, and that transition, maybe leaving home. How did you cope with that, and how did that develop you as an individual?
Well, I just think that a lot of things, with a lot of factors in it. There was the team that I played for had a good relationship with Bristol City. There was a couple of Scottish boys already down there, so I knew what was going down to. Joe Jordan and Jimmy Lumsden were there. Joe Jordan, Scottish legend. To be able to go and play for him was not even in question. That was such an honour. And it's just been able to go and play football. And I'd gone down to Bristol for a week, I think, before we decided that I was going to sign. And it's just such a brilliant football club and such a beautiful city. The accommodation that put me in was first class. And no, I'll be honest, for me back then, I mean, if I look at my own kids now at 16, 17, to sort of put them in a train at Glasgow Central and tell them that get off the train when it stops and can't go any further in Bristol, and it's sort of 8 or 9 hours later, yeah, it does seem like a big thing. But like I said back then, well, quite streetwise and used to doing that kind of stuff. So I was going to play football, and that's all really that we cared about.
How did that transition happen from you playing to managing? Can you kind of share that experience on that transition? And was there a realisation when you were playing that you wanted to become a manager, or did you fall into coaching, or how did that work?
No. Well, I never thought about football. You never think about anything but playing forever until somebody says that's it, you're done. You do a wee bits of preparation, I did a bit of education and that, and during my playing career, but never ever thought about really getting into coaching and management. It was so difficult to get into. I mean, there's only 2 at every club, and really took, well, 3 now. You get more now, but back then it was like first team manager and assistant manager. So no, I didn't really think about it. But when you play until sort of the age that I played, I think I played until about 33, and you start to meet people when you're 33, and they start to say to you, what is it you want to do? And you don't really know, but you're at that age where you can become a coach. And then the question, people start to ask me, would I want to coach, or would I want to do this and that? And I just sort of fell into it, because it was just like the next stage. It was the next thing that I did in football. And then as I went along, Burnley got me in to coach the 14s and 15s, and I did my coaching badges. Then I got a call right at the blue from Fleetwood to go and speak with them, and got the Fleetwood job. And then it just kept going from there, really. I couldn't honestly say, and even looking back now, I don't believe you can make plans. I think it's just football, and you just got to keep going and keep doing what you do, and be around when the opportunities are there, and make sure that you take them. It's always been the same, even when I was a player. It's very, very same in coaching and management, and then very, very quickly you stand at the other side of the room and you're looking at a team rather than looking at a manager. But I did all my career, all of a sudden I was the guy that they were all looking at, and the first moments are daunting, to be honest, and you feel the responsibility, and you feel the sort of the eyes all looking at you going, right, come on then, what we're doing. So that's how really it sort of got going.
Just on that, Mickey, I'm intrigued to find out whether you think it's important that you have played the game to become a manager, because, again, having conversations within where I work at UCFB with students, they mention different coaches and different managers. Mourinho was a translator and then got the opportunity to obviously manage at the highest level. What are your thoughts on that in terms of your experiences and that transition for you? You know, is it important that you have played the game to have that transferability into management, or does it differ? I'm intrigued on what you think about that.
If you're asking about me, I do a lot of coaching from experience. So remembering how I felt, remembering how I was on the pitch, what I wanted to see, how I wanted to play, how I remembered playing, and how other sort of players affected me or teams affected me, and then being able to go into a coaching environment and be able to see the pictures of that, and then because I'd seen the pictures of that, be able to organise my teams around about what I remembered, what was really invaluable to me, and still pretty much now whenever I'm coaching, I feel myself getting pulled towards the middle of the pitch and being able to do a full sort of 360, and I could probably shut my eyes and tell you where I wanted everybody to be if I was playing. So I can coach from that sort of point of view, and then I can kind of look down on it and sort of imagine where everybody is in the pitch. So I really admire people who haven't played that can do that, You need to ask them how they do that. But there certainly has been enough people out there who haven't had football careers that have gone on to have stellar management careers, and be able to do that coaching side of it. But certainly for me, I'd have found it very, very difficult, and I sort of relied on my own experiences and then pictures that I'd built up from a playing career.
So on that then, Micky, what skills do you think are essential in terms of maybe leading groups of individuals, teams, etc., within certain divisions, certain leagues? Is there anything that you think is relevant to you? You mentioned at the beginning that being streetwise, I can imagine that from a personal point of view, it's getting to know individuals and characters. Is there anything on top of that that you think is relevant to ensure that you are effectively managing and leading groups of individuals to achieve promotion, achieve winning on a Saturday, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the relationships. You've got to build relationships with everybody and everything. So if you say to any player about something, they'll tell you what the relationship is. They I love it, I hate it, or whatever. That's their relationship. So if you say, what's the training like? And they're honest, they'll say, I hate it. Well, the relationship with training is they hate it. So you've got to build relationships with things and people. And people have got to unite towards, without getting too technical, a common vision. You got to set the vision. So what is it that you want that group to achieve? What is it you think realistically, and that's the important part, realistically, that you can sell that vision to that group of players? Because if you set it too big, they won't buy your vision and you lose credibility and the relationship is gone. So if you set a realistic vision for that group and that group buy into that, so you have a relationship with that vision, and we all think, yeah, we can achieve that. And the way that I look at vision is here, and where we are is here. So what are we working on in here to get to the vision? So what do we need to do to improve to get to what we believe is the vision, so the outcome? And then there's all the behaviours that all groups have to have. So they would be your values. So what's your values as a group that you have to live by to be a outstanding team that achieves the vision? So the communication, team spirit, all the kind of words, resilience, all the kind of words that if you sat down with 10, 15 guys and said, give me your values that you think any good team should have in order to function as a really good team, what behaviours are they in order to try and achieve a vision, and then everybody lives towards their values, then you've got a good chance of then achieving the vision. So it's about getting all that right. And then obviously people speak about culture. So above all that would be culture. And then having a belief that it can go and be achieved with all the values that you have, and keep working away at it. And one of your values will be resilience. You've got to keep going, and belief, and that's what any good team would have. Any good team that I would have would have a good relationship with a vision that they believed in was achievable, and have good values as a group in order to try and get there.
And is that vision shared with owners as well, so they understand what you're trying to accomplish within that vision and culture? How do you work with them in terms of leading above? I'm intrigued on that.
Yeah, when you sit down, and what's important is right at the start in your sort of initial period, and you say, right, when you go for your interview, wherever you go to go and be a manager, you would say, well, why me, and what is it that you think that us collectively, with the resources that you've gave me, facilities I've got, and the playing staff I've got, what is it that you think that I'm going to achieve? And then you would be perfectly within your rights then to sort of argue that when you're in your honeymoon period, if you like, to get it to a place where you think is achievable. Because otherwise, if they come to me and they say, I want you to win the European Cup, the Premier League, and I don't believe that it can be achieved, then it's not doable. So you're on a height, and it's important that you have a shared doable vision, if you like, or at least be seen to be working towards it and getting closer to it. So yeah, right in the very start, that you would sit down with the stakeholders, the people who are about to employ you, and you would go through that with them and come to a place where you thought, right, okay, I'm happy with that. I use the phrase that everybody's tail's wagging. So everybody's tail's wagging, everybody's happy. Yeah, we're good to go for that. I think that's doable. Let's crack on.
If we look at Tranmere and your back-to-back promotion spell at the football club, what do you think was unique about that period within that footballing journey? Was there anything that you think that stood out that enabled you to be successful on reflection of that time?
Obviously, you need good players. You need good players, and things have to be united. So I always say there's three stakeholders in it. There's the fan base, supporters, there's the ownership, and there's the football team, the playing football team, and involved in that would be the staff and players and all the rest of it. They three have to be united and we seem to be working together to try and achieve, I keep using the word vision, but what is it that we're trying to do? So Tranmere, we're trying to get back into the Football League. So we were united, and yeah, I think that's what we have to try and do. There was no hide away from that. That's what we had to do. And then you have to win. People on, and I always hear a lot of people speaking about philosophies and all the rest of it, but my take on that is that there's a lot of people watching Soccer Saturday now, not involved in football, have far, far better philosophies than I ever had. Probably fireworks coming out the backsides and all sorts of philosophies and fantastic, but didn't win enough games. You got to win games to keep yourself going and keep belief in you, or at least have a team that's looking like it's going to start winning games. I've never yet had a manager been kept in a job because the team played brilliant football, but they weren't winning games. Eventually, you've got to win games of football to progress. That's what it's all about. So you've got to keep that in your mind as well. But as long as you're working towards and looking likely that you're going to be winning games, then that's the next stage to touch your winning games. That Tranmere team won games. They won games. Good players and good people, and we had a good togetherness, and we were able to keep things moving forward, and we were able to achieve something that was unbelievable.
You mentioned National League and then that promotion into obviously the Football League, and then your promotion into League One. How would you keep momentum? Is there a strategy or anything that you think is relevant within that process as a manager to keep motivation, keep momentum, and achieve promotional targets? Is there anything that you think is key within that process of your experience there?
Yeah. Look, I wrote a book about it, didn't I, in the first 100 days. You've got to keep revisiting it. You've got to go back over it again, reset the vision, make it realistic, reset the goals and the targets, decide what is important for this group, behaviours and values, and then set the standard. And then anything that drops below the standard, you have to be right in and among it. You have to establish a way of playing that scores you goals, and you have to establish a way of playing that scores you goals and keeps you clean sheets. And it is as simple as that with a group of players that you have. And that's as easy as I could articulate it to you, because I see football really simple. And if you go to players that can score you goals and players that can keep you clean sheets, it's the absolute remedy to success. And if you're not getting one or the other, then you've got to find a way of getting the balance right and trying to give yourself a chance of winning games again. That team kept scoring goals and kept keep clean sheets and went again, got promoted again. So they did really well.
What about you as a coach then, Micky? Because there might be times where results might not go your way and certain things challenge you and your vision and your outlook towards coaching and management, etc. Is there anything that stands out from your experience as a coach that has challenged your thinking and made you think differently about football?
Yeah, and I think you just used it. So certain things will make me go, oh. So straight away you went, you, and right away I went, no, it's not about me. It's about the players. It's about us finding a way for them to perform. I love the term sort of servant leader. where you're sort of doing everything you can to get a group of players to perform the best that they can. And also you're giving a group of players a hard time because you want them to be the best you can be, and you build that relationship with your players that they know when you're having a go at them, it's because you know they can do better. So everything that I did was for them. Everything that I did. And of course, off the back of that, then I would eventually get my pat in the back, but I never looked for that until the players had achieved. Because without the players performing and winning games, the manager is nothing. The players have got to eventually be right at the front, or all the time be at the front. Because no matter how good you are as a manager, you need the players to perform. So, and that's what your job is, to get them to perform, and then you come in at the back end of that. So yeah, that's what very much I learned very, very quickly in football, was it's all about the players. It's all about us getting the players to perform, be mentally ready all the time, and be prepared to be that guy that's there for them, to get them going and to keep them going.
Do you think people or coaches or managers tend to forget that? I could get the sense that from what you've said on reflection, it's removing your ego and thinking about the group collectively and that collaboration. Do you think sometimes within leadership and management that's sometimes missed, and people tend to be very self-focused, and that impacts the outcomes of what they're trying to achieve?
Yeah, I think if you looked at certain situations, you would be able to say that if you went, is it all about the players or is it all about the manager? You'd be able to separate that. You'd be able to say, oh, it's all about the manager. Or if you were at the brilliant teams, like your Klopps and your Guardiolas and all these kind of guys, it's the players. They'll always speak about the players. How good these players are, and he'll always stick up for these players and fight for these players. So they fight for the players. I think when I was a player, I understood that if it was all about the manager, or I've seen other managers, it's been all about them, they don't last long. Don't last long because it's not what the players want. The players want it to be about them, and quite rightly so. If a manager's going to tell everybody how good he is, and continually tells himself it's not. I was brilliant, but the players weren't great. I did everything I could, but the players let me down. He ain't lasting. He's not lasting. So I'd say that not just out of experience, but out of know-how, that's the way it's got to. That's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. It's the way it's got to be. It's got to be about the players.
Obviously, you had a promotion at Shrewsbury as well, and we mentioned Tranmere. Was there any differences in terms of those campaigns? Is there anything that stands out on reflection of both successes for you, and in terms of your approach to both teams that were significantly successful? Yeah,
all were different. Promotions at Fleetwood as well. They were all different. They were all different. The Shrewsbury one, when I went in there, they only had 4 players. Start of the season, they'd just been relegated from League One. Well, it's 4 players, so it was a complete rebuild. So that's a different job to when I went to Tranmere. They were already sort of near enough half the way through the season, and the team was already established. So yeah, they're all different. All the jobs are all different, but the way that I look at it will never change. It's scoring goals and keeping clean sheets. That'll be about it, and using the quality of the players that I have, and not expecting them to do things that they can't do, in order to try and achieve that, has always been something that will be the first thing that I always look at. I always try and improve them, get them fitter, mentality, get them tougher, get them to accept what I call suffering, which means get used to a bit of breath and running around, and just take it as that's what normal, high-profile, great footballers take as normal. So get used to suffering, and basically, they would be the initial asks that I would look for.
I get the sense, Micky, from talking to you for the last 25 minutes, is that you make football simple, and I think as if I was a player playing for you, it's okay. I know what I need to achieve. You mentioned your vision, and that's what the outcomes are set out to be. But do you feel maybe from like a leadership and coaching perspective, and you mentioned Soccer Saturday and the panel within that and philosophies, do you think we overcomplicate the game in terms of tactical information, etc.? Because again, like I said, from speaking to you, it's simple from what you're trying to say.
So I'll put it back to you. If I sort of wiped the whole of the football world's minds right now, and I come out and I organise the game with 2 targets at each end and a white square right round the outside of it, and sort of said that 11 of you put that colour on and 11 of you put that colour on, and you score out of that goal and you stop them doing that, do you think we'd play it better? Do you think we would understand it a lot better? Do you think
Probably so, yeah.
Do you think we've complicated it so much now that we're just trying to understand complication now rather than just common sense at times, that when you get closer to your goal, maybe try and stop you from playing it forward, and maybe there's areas that I need to get a wee bit more aggressive to stop you from playing forward, and when you've got it, maybe try and get behind the ball to stop you from putting it in that goal, and when we get it, let's try and get it into there quicker. I think we'd be a lot of teams would be a lot better if we actually just remembered that the object of the game wasn't simplified. I mean, I hear some of the stuff that people say now, and I think I've done 700 games as a manager and about 600, 700 as a player, and I don't even know what you're on about. I don't even know what you're on about. I think sometimes now, if you come up with sort of fancy words and sort of fancy things, which just mean some simple reasons, I think people get kind of turned on with that, so people are getting a wee bit carried away and going for more fancy words. But really, the game's very simple. The game is very simple. 22 athletes chasing after a ball, try to get into one goal, try to stop it in the other. And there's rules around things that sort of organise the game, what you can do and what you can't do. But generally, I think that the object of the game is pretty simple.
It kind of leads me to my next question, really. What do you think the general state is of English football from maybe a non-league, League Two, League One? What do you think your overall thoughts are on the standard and how it's developed maybe over the time? You mentioned 700 games as a player and 700 games as a coach. Do you think it's developed in a unique way, or is there still limitations? I'm just intrigued on what your overall thought is on how it's...
Yeah, I watch a lot of football now. A lot of football. And I'm intrigued, and I wonder if ever I went to people sort of 10 years ago and I said to them, there's going to come a time in football where in one half of football your goalkeeper is going to touch the ball outside the 18-yard box more than your striker. I wonder if they'd have thought that was ever possible. And I wonder if they'd have thought that the goalkeeper touched the ball pretty much more outside his box and build up play than most of your players. I would wonder if they'd say, nah, that can never happen. But I'd go to a lot of football now and that's happening. It's gone, goalkeepers are in the middle of centre backs now and making up a 3-man start to things and not really getting anywhere. And meanwhile the striker's standing up front and we don't get it to him. That kind of sort of baffles me, and why we sort of got rid of wingers will always kind of baffle me. Wingers, when I was growing up, was the most exciting thing about football, the winger against the full-back battle. Get out to the wide man, go and take people on. I was brought up watching football in Scotland, and the wingers were what it was all about. You get out to them in the battle with a full-back, and the overlaps, and get a ball in the box, and people attacking the ball. That's how I loved football. Now, it's changed massively where people want to evolve the goalkeeper. There's not an awful lot of 18-yard box action now, which I don't really enjoy, to be honest. I sort of yearn for a winger now and again to go and take somebody on the outside and hit the byline and get the ball in the box. But it's the way that it's gone, and new wingers want to come inside and they'll play inside, and fullbacks are becoming the guys who are wingers, and you're thinking, well, actually you're a fullback because you're not good enough at the dribbling to be a winger, so why are you there now? because they've rotated and he's going out there. So it's certain things, sort of common sense, I think. Oh, why didn't you just keep it winger out and game it and go and get the full back? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you try and find wingers now, there aren't many around, because everybody wants to come inside now and play what was the old sort of inside forward position now. Yeah. Everybody wants to come in there and nobody really wants to get wide.
It's even with the strikers as well. There's a lack of two strikers up front. That was always exciting to see two forwards trying to score goals.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, you guys remember York and Cole, and for years Dalglish and Rush, and the partnerships and the combinations between them were electric. You know, the absolutely electric to see partnerships up front and people letting things go and they strike partner picking up, spinning and giving it back and firing it. Like I loved that. I thought that football was electrifying. There's a lot I love about the modern game, but I think I hope that maybe we go back to people developing wingers again, but I think it's too long gone down the chain. And I think even at 4 and 5 now, you don't see many kids playing on the wing as such, like an old-fashioned winger. So at least for another 10, 15 years, it's not going to happen, is it? You're not going to get that back. But I do miss wingers, so that's just my take on things.
I want to bring you back to your managerial career when you transitioned back to Scotland with Dundee United. Was there anything different from managing a team within Scotland in comparison to England? Is there anything that stands out during that transition?
Yeah, very much, because there was no crowds, because it was COVID. So it was nobody there. So he had to be at big stadiums and was nobody there. It was just us. Football's football. Now, probably really, really difficult to play in a league with Celtic and Rangers in it. I think the gap between finances and the players that you were recruiting it just wasn't a battle at times. It was like trying to stop a juggernaut with a bow and arrow. It was impossible at times. That was strange. That was difficult. And then to go and get interviewed at the end of the games and people speak as if it was a 50-50 toe-to-toe competition. You're thinking, hang on a minute, their team probably cost, I don't know, however many 100 million or whatever, and my team was just sort of put together from local lads and kids coming through the academy, and so that was difficult. That was really difficult. But generally, I enjoyed the football in Scotland. The football clubs are institutions, and they're like museums and monuments to the community. So when you go to like Kilmarnock and these kind of places, that United, the grounds are immaculate. The history in them is incredible, like museums to the past. And really, really well looked after. So that really is something that anybody who goes to Scotland will be able to share with you. That's quite amazing, the history that's in the grounds. But no, I really enjoyed it. I loved it, but it was time to come back. I was always had in my mind I was coming back. Personal reasons I wanted to come back. My daughter was 14, starting at GCSEs. So now and again, you've got to put yourself to the side and don't be selfish. And yeah, we do have families and we do have lives, football managers and football people, and you've got to put them first.
Just on that, you mentioned expectations and pressures and managing maybe media. Just on reflection of maybe the football clubs that you've managed, how do you cope with that? Has that developed over time? And, you know, when, for example, results are not going too well, and you mentioned COVID and that might impact the processes of your team and setting your team out, how do you deal with maybe the pressures and added stresses that come with football management?
When you goes right back to the start, you focus on the things that you're in control of. So all I can be in control of is try to help my players be the best that they can be. I can't go on the pitch and score goals, so I can only control what I can control. So it's about making sure you don't let your focus drift, and it only stays on you stay in your job. What is your job? So I am very, very, very clear in my mind of making sure that do your job. Make sure the players are ready It's not about you feeling peed off and upset about people being personal with you. It's not your job. Your job's to be there for the players. Get your big boy pants on and get on the training pitch and get your players ready. Get them ready for the next game. And away you go. So when you speak to the press and all the rest of it, and I understand. Yeah, it's a good win and all the rest of it. Yeah, but we're back Monday to go and do my job again. Defeat, understand it was disappointing and all the rest of it, and a lot of stuff we got wrong, and I'll get back on the training pitch and I'm going to try and get us back on track for Monday and get going again. And that's all I can do. Can't do anything else about that.
So control the controllables and don't get too low with the lows and don't get too high with the highs. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, we if anybody says to you that they don't get too low and they don't get too high, I would say they're lying.
Really?
Yeah, because it's football and it's emotional. If it's not, I want to go down. I want to go into Amazon now and go and buy a Switch that switches emotion off. Because if somebody's got that, and I tell you what, there won't be a bank big enough to hold the money that is out there for it. Emotion, you can deal with, have coping mechanisms for it, and all the rest of it, and little routines, and go for a walk, and mindfulness and all this. But you're down when you're down, and you're up when you're up. And the important thing is just sort of riding the wave of it and knowing that it will pass. And it does. And as you get sort of more experience in life, not just football, you sort of understand that, I'm going to be a bit peed off now until probably Monday lunchtime, so just go away and just try and be the best I can be until then. But unfortunately, there's no switch that I can go and buy that's going to switch and start off, but I'll try and act it out a wee bit and see that I'm okay, but actually I'm pretty pissed off. And then on the other side, it'll be high as a kite. If the missus asks me for anything on a Sunday after a win, she can have 2 of them. So, that's just the way it is. And if other people see football differently, good luck to them. But I'd be struggling to find anybody who wouldn't sort of empathise with that sort of thing.
Is there any memorable moments that stand out on reflection of your career, Micky, in terms of football management? Anything that stands out that you thoroughly enjoyed? Can you kind of reflect on anything?
Winning.
Was there a particular moment there?
Winning big games, winning at Wembley, winning big games, winning derby games, seeing your players get big moves, and then seeing them operate for England, seeing them go and thrive, and remembering the moment that you got them, and thinking, wow, look how well you've done, and terrific to see people achieving great things when you know how hard they've worked to get there. So loads and loads of things that I would look at and be very, very, very pleased about. Probably too many to mention. I would miss some out, but see my own boy playing as well. I mean, now I'm very fortunate I can go and watch my own boy playing league football. He's going to play for Scotland on Friday, so I can't get up there, but your boy to play for Scotland is incredible, that see, I remember him as a little chap, and now he's going representing our country is amazing.
Did you find yourself being a mentor for him just down to experiences that you've had as a manager and the player? Do you kind of share insights to protect him and also support him?
Yeah, it's a tricky one now because I'm his dad, and you're like with your own dad, you're always like, everybody else knows better than your dad, didn't it? You'd listen to somebody else rather than your dad sometimes, but you just got to try and get the balance right. And then I've got to remember that Michael's got other football managers. I'm not his manager, so for me, I've got to say, Michael, go and play like this. His manager might not want me to play like that. He might have a different style to play. But I always say to Michael, you get paid to do 3 things. You get paid to turn up, you get paid to have a go, and you get paid to go and be a good teammate. So go and do the 3 things, and nobody can have a go at you. If you don't have a great performance and you do the 3 things, then nobody can ask any more than you in that. And I'll always say to them, did you have a right good go? And did you work your socks off for your teammates? And then I'll say, right, that's fine. You maybe can ask any more than that of you. And to be fair to me, does he puts a shift in?
Good stuff. For people that are listening or watching this podcast, they might be thinking about how they develop themselves within football, whether that's in sport as a whole. It might be other disciplines, education, business. What advice would you give to maybe someone to become a better leader and a manager within their field? Is there anything that you think is relevant to share to support their journey?
Yeah, everything. Get out there and learn. Go and meet people. Go and read the books. Go and listen to the podcasts. Go and practice your craft. Go and be relentless. Don't disappointment. I hear loads of things about disappointment. I had one of our days, just a bruise. I love all that kind of stuff. Just a bruise and come back from it. Yeah, just keep going. Keep believing. And probably the biggest one is if whatever you want to be, you think about the behaviours and the lifestyle and the sacrifices that person would have to make. And if you honestly go out and you act or be that person and live your life and make the sacrifices and do the training and all the rest of it, then the very least you give yourself a good chance of being that person. But if you cut corners, and because we all know what it takes to be really, really good at something, but if you go and cut corners and you don't put the graft in, you'll not get there. And if you do, you will not stay there. Because for every one of you that's not doing it, I'm telling you, there's people who are putting the time in and doing the behaviours and getting up to bed early, eating properly, training well, looking to improve, looking at themselves in the mirror, seeing how they can get better, understanding where they want to get to, and understanding the sacrifices that have to be made, and then going and attacking it all the time. And don't come off the path. Keep going. Because everybody knows, if you ask yourself the question in anything that you were going to go and do in life, you say, does that make me a better player or does that make me a better player? So any choice that comes your way, does that make me a better player? Does that make me a better player? You know the answer to that. And then you go with it. That won't make me a better player. So don't do it then. And the more the answers that you give positively, the better chance you give yourself of being whatever that is that you want to be. And it is as cut and dried as that. If you want to go to nightclubs, if you want to go the night before games, if you want to go and drink and eat crap the night before a game, guess what? You ain't getting nowhere. But if you want to get out a swerve and you want to prepare properly, you want to eat right, you've trained right, you get your mentality right, you've got a better chance than the other guy. And it is as simple as that.
Love that, Micky. Last final questions. What is the next steps for you in terms of your managerial career? Is there anything that you've got your eye on? Is there anything that you want to achieve going forward?
Yeah, I had a good rest out of football. I needed it. I hadn't been out of football for, I don't think, 2 weeks since I was 16, and I'm now 51. That's a lot of football. So I decided to take a wee step back, and I went into leadership. So I'm now for about 6 or 7 months I've done the leadership. So I've gone into schools and I'm working with 9 leaders in 9 schools, loads of kids, loads of teachers, loads of TAs.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I'm doing a lot of leadership, and I've currently just designed my own leadership course, 9-month leadership course, which actually starts tomorrow. So I do that tomorrow with the leaders. So we joined in all that, and I've had a lot of football opportunities, and I know a lot of managers say I had a lot of opportunities because they want to say that, but I have, and none of them just weren't the right time or what I wanted to do, or logistically they weren't where I wanted to be. But I feel that a couple of opportunities maybe are coming in my way very soon that maybe tick the boxes, and I'm ready to go back in, and I would be excited about the challenge, and I can continue doing my leadership stuff because that's important to me. Keep supporting the kids. So if that came along, which I'm hoping it is, then yeah, I would go back into football again. But I've done an awful lot in football. I've won. I mean, I can sit here now and say I've won every league from the Conference North, Conference Premier, League 2, League 1. Only one I've not won is the Championship. So I've done Hampden, I've done Wembley, I've done games against Man U, Man City, Liverpool, all the games, Celtic, Rangers. So I didn't go back in. I could sit back and say, well, listen, you did it. You were very fortunate what you were able to be involved in. You worked with great players like Vardy and John Stones and all these guys. So I've been blessed. I've been blessed with a fabulous career. And if something else pops up, I will resume it. But if it doesn't, I'll continue trying to be the best I can be at whatever I do.
How would you like to be remembered, Micky? Final question, by the way. How would you like to be remembered?
Wow. God, that's a question. I don't know if that really bothers me. I don't know. Let's see if I've got an answer for you. I don't know. I think rather than walking towards how I want to be remembered, I just try and concentrate on how I like to be. And I like to be a good guy. I like to be a good guy. I like to think that I want the best for everybody. I care about people. And I just try and be that person. And how I'm remembered will be what that impacted on people when I'm gone. So I can't really think about that because I won't be here. So who cares? Unless I don't know someone else happens, but we no needs know. But no, I just try and be the best I can be and be a good guy. Just that's what I say to my kids all the time. Just be nice. Just be nice. And I just try and be nice.
Well, we'll end it there, Micky. I just want to thank you for your time. And obviously, prior to our conversation, we've been back and forth on WhatsApp, and obviously, unfortunately, you haven't been well. So I just want to thank you for you giving me the time to speak to you today. And also, I just want to wish you well in terms of your next steps. And you mentioned your son as well. I wish you well with that endeavour as well. So thank you and good luck.